up and talk to a teacher and go ahead and leave. And I do want to thank you for Grace and Donnie and Emma and Josh and Courtney and Whitney and myself and Miss Bowers and Miss Miller for putting on together. Here we go. Here you are with a group of your friends, and you're coming home from a party. The music is up loud, and everyone is singing at the top of their lungs, and they're all having the time of their lives. And they all think that they're invincible against the world, so they say, "First, let me take a selfie." In the room, and he asked, "What happened? Where am I? What's going on?" The police officer informed him that he was drinking and driving, and he was also on his phone. But Donnie was the only one that survived this night because he was wearing his seatbelt. But, of course, he was charged with vehicular manslaughter for killing his friends. Today, we do not want this to happen to anyone in this room, this school, this county, state, or country. So today, I would like to inform you about texting and driving. Courtney Larkins will inform you about drinking and driving. And Whitney Kloss will inform you of why you should always wear your seatbelt. So first, I will talk to you about texting and driving. I know that everyone in here has heard "don't text and drive," but I know that people don't listen. And you think, "Oh, this will never happen to me." But did you know if you text and drive, you are 23 times more likely to be involved in an accident? In 2011, there were 1.3 million car accidents involving cell phones. But out of that 1.3 million, Only 13% of people can actually and honestly admit that they were on their phone because they knew that they were in the wrong. Another fact is if you drive at 55 miles per hour and you look down at your phone for 5 seconds, you travel the length of one football field. Now for you football boys, that's a bit of a distance, but for a car, that's not very far at all. Today I have 3 questions for you. First, if you're not paying attention to me, either you're too busy talking to your neighbor or you just don't care, did you notice the people on the screen that are in the middle of the road? If you say no, that is one reason why texting and driving is a problem, because you do not focus. My second question for you today, and please do not raise your hand, but how many of you have your phone in your hand right now as I speak? Or is it in your pocket, your purse, or your backpack that's on the floor? How many of you sent a text message during school today? This is a prime example of why texting and driving is an issue, because you have to be too connected to the world. And my last question is think back to your last text message that you sent or received. Is that text message worth your life? The answer is no. It's not worth your life, or your family, your grandparents, or even strangers. Now I know that statistics don't always change your mind, but I know that personal stories can. The first is a man named Will Craig. He was only the passenger of this accident. The driver was texting and driving at 105 miles per hour. As the driver noticed that they were headed towards a tree, instead of slamming on the brakes, he slammed on the gas and sped up to 120 miles per hour. As a result, Will's head did hit the tree, and he had a serious brain injury, but luckily he did survive. But he encourages everyone to put down and put away your phone. It's not worth your life. Another man named Chandler was texting his wife, "I love you." The next thing he knew, there was broken glass everywhere and a body rolled out of a vehicle. You guys know what his result was that day? He killed 3 innocent children. Have these people's stories changed your mind? I really hope so, because texting and driving, it's not funny and it's not cool. It is a serious, dangerous, but most devastatingly of all, it's deadly. I hope you all know that it is illegal to text and drive. And if you still do it, why? What is your purpose? Do you live for today and not tomorrow? That you don't care about the people around you or even strangers? And if you kill someone, you will be charged with vehicular manslaughter. And at this young age, you're in your prime, and no one wants to live through that, and no one should have to. Also, did you know if you text someone and you know that they are driving and they are involved in an accident, that you also may be held responsible? Now, I don't want anyone in this room to be part of the 1.3 million statistic, so please stop texting and driving. You can always take a pledge and inform friends and family and even complete strangers about the danger. Know your actions and how it can affect the people around you, that if you do kill someone, you will always have that guilt on your life. And it's all over one text message. It's not worth it. So please, do not text and drive. It can wait.
On September 30th, 2006, on Highway 177, a family of 4 and their grandmother was killed in a head-on collision with a drunk driver with a blood alcohol level of .22. The family was headed home from celebrating their grandma's birthday when the drunk driver swerved into their lane, killing all of the family instantly, except for the little girl. She was flew to the hospital, but passed away that night. I went to the Salem United Church of Christ in Alhambra and paid my respects to my cousins, Gary, Laura, Cody, Emily, and Judy. Because I've experienced the effects that drunk driving can have on a family, I feel compelled to persuade you in the future to not drink and drive, or allow someone you know to drink and drive. So today, I will persuade you to make the right decisions in the future. I will tell you about the statistics and the stories of other accidents. My first point that I would like to bring to your attention is the statistics of drinking and driving. Most people don't think alcohol affects them as much as they would like to say. But in reality, after only one drink, you already have a blood alcohol level of .02, .03, which gives you a slight euphoria or loss of shyness. From .04 to .06, your behavior becomes exaggerated, your emotions are increased, and you have minor impairment of memory. From point .07 to point .09, most people would argue that they're still able to drive. But in reality, you're experiencing slight impairment of balance, speech, vision, reaction time, and hearing. And at this level, you are legally impaired to drive by the state of Illinois. From point 10 to point 125, you have significant impairment of motor coordination and loss of good judgment. You have slurred speech, balance, vision, reaction time, and your hearing will all be impaired. From point 13 to point 15, you have total motor impairment and lack of physical control. You have blurred vision and major loss of balance, and instead of having euphoria, anxiety sets in. From point 16 to point 19, you experience nausea, or is known as the sloppy drunk stage. At point 20, you begin to feel dazed, confused, or disoriented. You may need help to stand or walk, and if you injure yourself, you may not feel the pain. At this point, the gag reflex is impaired, and if you vomit, you can choke on your own vomit. At point 25, you have all mental, physical, and sensory functions are severely impaired. You have an increased risk of death when choking on vomit and seriously injuring yourself by falls. At point 30, you have little comprehension of where you are. You may pass out suddenly and be difficult to be awakened and are in a stupor, which is when you are almost completely non-responsive. From point 35, your coma is possible, and this is the level of surgical anesthesia. From point 40 and up, you have an onset of coma and possible death due to respiratory arrest. I have just informed you of the statistics of drinking and driving, and now I would like to share with you a story about drinking and driving. According to Karen.org, 10,839 people will die in drunk driving crashes, 1 every 50 minutes this year. In addition, 1 person is injured from an alcohol-related crash every minute. At 11 p.m. on May 14th in Kentucky, the deadliest drunk driving crash occurred. Larry Mahoney was traveling the wrong way on a rural interstate when he collided head-on with a school bus carrying 67 teenagers back from a theme park. When the impact occurred, it shoved the bus's suspension into the gas tank. The metal scraping on the road caused sparks that ignited the fuel, so the bus quickly went up into flames near the front door, which blocked the main exit. The fire quickly spread throughout the bus, and the temperature rose to an estimated 2,000 degrees, all in a matter of a minute. Due to only having 1 exit, it turned into chaos getting off the bus. 34 passengers escaped, but 27 were lost to the fire because they couldn't get off in time. Larry Mahoney had a blood alcohol level of 0.24 and had no memory of the accident and was only informed about it the next day by a police officer. He was sentenced to 16 years in prison for an accident he didn't even remember committing. Today I have told you about the statistics of drinking and driving and the stories of families affected by it. Preventable deaths and injuries occur each year from drinking and driving, and today I hope that in the future you will recall this speech and make the right decision so your life doesn't have to be affected by drinking and driving the way mine has. It was a beautiful, sunny morning. The date was December 31st, 2011. The music was blaring. Nothing could ruin this day. It was New Year's Eve, and it was time to have fun. That was what I thought until the accident happened. I was on my way from Greenville to Pocahontas. My cruise was set at 60 miles an hour. I was coming up over a hill when suddenly my car had died. I started to panic. I lost power steering, so I tried putting my car in neutral, but by that time I was too late. I had hit the guardrail. The next thing I remember was waking up in the hospital, staring at a police officer. I somehow thought that I was in trouble, but however, that was not the case. The police officer had told me that he was extremely proud of me for wearing my seatbelt that day, because if I wouldn't have been, I would have died. What he said has always stuck in the back of my mind every time I get into a vehicle. No matter what, always wear a seatbelt. It can save your life. Based on my statistics from my survey throughout the school, 77% of you do wear your seatbelt. but 23% of you do not wear your seatbelt. So today, I'm going to tell you the reasons why you should wear your seatbelt and some statistics on wearing one versus not wearing one. National Help to Stop Accidents.com states that seatbelts have improved over the years. The number one reason for wearing your seatbelt is to keep you from being ejected from the vehicle during an accident. You should also wear your seatbelt because it is a state law. However, many people argue that they don't have to wear their seatbelt. People come up with numerous excuses for not wearing one. No matter what your excuse is, always wear your seatbelt. It can save your life. Now, CDC.gov informs us that seatbelts reduce serious crash-related injuries by about 50.5%, which may not seem like a lot, but it is definitely better than not wearing one. In 2008, 64% of passengers ages 13 through 34 that were in traffic crashes were killed from not wearing their seatbelts. Also, in 2008, around 250,000 lives were saved from wearing their seatbelt. In 2009, 77% of passengers that were completely ejected from the vehicle that were not wearing their seatbelts were killed. More than 2.3 million adult drivers and passengers were treated in emergency departments as a result of being injured in an accident for not wearing their seatbelt, also in 2009. If I haven't changed your mind already, I hope this last story does. It was a wonderful day full of love and happiness. A young couple was on their way to prom. The boyfriend had persuaded his girlfriend to take his new car to prom instead of going in a group on a bus. They were on their way to prom when their vehicle collided with another head-on. He was wearing his seatbelt, but she was not, and she went through the windshield. She died from a broken neck on impact. She never got to go to her prom that year. I hope that after hearing everything that I had to say, you don't hesitate the next time you get into a car to put your seatbelt on.
Now that I talked to you about texting and driving, Courtney talked to you about drinking and driving, and Whitney talked to you about why you should always wear a seatbelt, we all hope that we have changed your mind about your actions, but we also do have one video to show you.
My name is Brent Hendricks. I'm a trooper with the Missouri State Highway Patrol. I'm at the site of Mariah West's accident. Mariah's vehicle traveled across this median and ended in striking the bridge that you can see behind me.
When I got to the scene, her face was disfigured from sliding down the roadway. It's funny, the first thing I noticed about her was her shoes. Lying in the roadway in a large pool of blood, I noticed her shoes and I thought, this is a young girl. But that's the first thing I thought when I saw this. And at that point is when I noticed her cap and gown was still in her car. She was going to graduate the next day. It was just a really horrific scene. All because of a senseless text message.
This girl's next big event was graduation. For most of us in here, we have prom tomorrow. We get to dress up and get our hair done and nails for the girls, and guys, you get to wear your tuxes. But seniors, we graduate, walk that stage, and move our tassel 2 weeks from today. So, we all hope to see you seniors at graduation. So, please don't text and drive or drink and drive, and please always, always, always wear your seatbelt. Because seniors, we are the future. Please make the smart decisions, and please always set a positive example.